what we're actually needing right now is new genres of art, entirely new genres of art that can say something and express something and find something that is unfindable otherwise. Like hip hop did that. It was impossible to describe the experience of inner city Black life in the projects with white English.
Yeah.
It was impossible. And hip hop became an expression of that experience that could not have happened without that art form. Well, there's no way. I mean, not that you and I will ever understand the experience of living in the inner city projects of Black America, but we might feel the vibe of it through the music in a little way.
In some sense, we might even say empirically it must have happened because something happened, like a bomb went off in culture.
Right. And it was actually, it kind of bugs me when I hear the Swedish hip hop because I feel like posers. But actually, it's kind of cool too, because it says whatever this thing is that they started expressing, these people feel it too.
Right. Yeah, that's the key.
Right.
It may just be a little bit or a different flavor, but there's a vibing with the vibe.
And rock and roll did that. You see those images of the Rolling Stones going to Japan. And, they didn't understand a word of the, but they felt it. And that feeling was like, So
I want to share something with you.
Yeah.
In this context. And I don't really know, but I notice that the part of me that in the past has found itself paying attention to things that later have turned out to be worth paying attention to is kind of pointing at this thing. And I learned it from my daughter, which also has a richness to it. So I don't know if you're familiar with there's a 2 or 3 media. Yeah. So you've got this thing called live streaming. You're familiar with that, I imagine.
Yeah.
And in particular, there's a thing that's associated with live streaming of playing a game, like on your computer. Let's go with Minecraft because it's the one that I happen to be familiar with in this context.
Okay.
And it's funny because there's another aspect of it is that feeling of like being the 50s parent who tells the boomer kid to turn the rock and roll down. That's just noise.
Yeah.
I'm watching somebody live stream Minecraft, and from my point of view, what they're doing is distinctly not attractive, right? So there's a screen, and you're watching somebody play Minecraft. Like, why would that be alluring? And they're chattering in some way. Like there's some
nonstop vomit.
Yeah, nonstop chattering and playing Minecraft, and oftentimes not obviously connected. Like they're talking. And one that I saw that was like, oh, that's interesting. This guy was like doing a whole like riff on some really interesting topic over here while playing Minecraft there. And it's like, okay, that's an interesting juxtaposition, but I'm not sure that's the deep point. But then if you look at Minecraft as an instrument, right? So I'm using the hip hop metaphor.
Yeah.
You got instruments. Every medium is an instrument that has a potential for expression of something. Some of the characteristics of Minecraft are a huge population of kids played Minecraft in the time frame where you learn instruments well. Right? In the ages between like 6, 7, 8, many hundreds of millions of kids played Minecraft a lot. Right? So they learned how to play this instrument at the level of like pre-egoic self. Pre-adolescent self.
Yeah.
And oftentimes played it through that period. The game is a sandbox game, right? So it's ultimately has no particular driver. Like games that aren't sandbox games, because of the driver of the game controls intent and motivation, it's very limited in its expressive capacity. But Minecraft is intrinsically a sandbox game. Here's something, it's like Legos. You can do something cool with it. But it's also almost always become a collaborative game, because kids that grew up in the Minecraft era also grew up in the internet era. The ability to play with other people is possible and a lot more fun. And so collaboration with other people is part of the instrumentality, right? So it's no longer the lone guitarist sitting on stage expressing their interior subjective through musicality. It's actually a group of people collaboratively discovering how this shared instrumentality can create a collaborative expression that feels to them. There's a shared feeling. Now, so I've got people who are playing Minecraft. I've got live streaming. And recently, like literally in the context of COVID, like in the spring of last year, a new thing emerged that began the process of I have a Minecraft world, which by the way has its own language. I think it's called a server. And I've got some number of people who are in that particular world. And many of them are live streamers. So now what happens is I actually have multiple different perspectives. I could watch person one or person two or person three, or I could watch both simultaneously, who are kind of looking at a particular slice of the world, whichever their particular, literally their camera angle happens to be. And if two characters are talking with each other, in principle, I could actually have both views of the same conversation. And then the notion of putting a story, creating an epic story emerges. And so they begin the process of rolling out and creating an epic story. It has arcs and it has conflict and it has struggles over geopolitics and it has betrayal and it has adventure and it has subplots that you can choose to like some subplots are like super esoteric, like somebody just spending literally months building a building. People are like, wow, that's cool. Let's see how he does that. What's that all, architecture. And then it spills out, so you've got people who are watching it on the live streams and of course chatting with each other on Discord channels. Right. So think about the nature of this medium. It's got all these different technical architectures to it. It's including Minecraft, it's including Discord, it's including Twitch, it's including YouTube channels. Like you can record a particular live stream and millions of people can watch it. And by the way, millions of people are watching it.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing, isn't it?
Then you've got people who are taking the raw content and they're creating animatics of it. So they'll actually draw an animation that is sort of using the voices that are part of the live streams, but cutting them together into something which is a linear piece of content, basically an animated movie, but imbuing their own aesthetics on top of it. This is what I feel like the characters look like. It doesn't look like they're not trying to simulate the sort of the lo-fi Minecraft aesthetic. They're actually doing some other kind of aesthetic, and it could be anything. So this is an emergent thing. And as far as I can tell, it may actually be as big as hip hop in terms of the implications. Like there's an expression, an entire generation, which is global in nature, right? There's nothing about it that's even the least bit national, although the dominant language tends to be English, but it's global in nature. It's highly multimedia. It's highly collaborative and interactive. And it has something to do with shared weaving together, shared building, place.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's the thing. I think it's really important. And I don't, again, it might be that you and I are on the outside.
It's all good, man.
Yeah. And I think that's interesting.